All right, cool. All right. Today's guest on Kowalski Analysis is none other than Charles Clark.
What's
Uh,
up, man?
how you doing, Charles? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So let me introduce you so everybody knows who you are. Charles Clark was a world-class track athlete, a three-time national champion, 10-time All-American, and the sixth fastest man in the world, on the precipice of inking a huge sponsorship deal. Then a devastating quad injury ended his running career, something he'd worked his whole life towards. Charles struggled with how to move forward and what to do with his life and his future, since being a track and field superstar was no longer in the picture. Charles developed techniques that brought him clarity to his life's purpose, and he founded the Charles Clark What Matters Foundation. He is now an expert in habit improvement, discovering purpose, vision creating, and goal setting, and he created the Thrive Planner to help people reach their one big goal in 90 days. Charles will soon be publishing his first book, entitled So Close to Success But Not Really, a book about breaking through failure to achieve phenomenal success. He is now an international keynote speaker that travels all over the world sharing about personal growth and leadership for companies including Dick's Sporting Goods, Nike, iHeartRadio, and various NCAA college sports teams. Wow. Welcome to Kowalski Analysis, Charles.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on.
So I guess the question that everybody wants to know is, have you ever raced Usain Bolt?
Yeah, I raced him. It was at World Championships, and that was the biggest race of my life, where I placed as the sixth fastest man in the world. So, yeah, don't ask me did I win that race, but that's the race where he broke the world record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good pace to be running. I mean, I'd imagine like if you're running with like a fast group of guys, it probably makes you run a little faster, right?
Yeah, I mean, to run against some of the best, people in the universe, it definitely challenges you, and it gives you a level of mental toughness that most people will never experience in their life. And so with what I do now, it pales in comparison, because getting on the stage and talking versus running and competing against the fastest man in the world. Oh man, this next stage of my life makes things so much easier and enjoyable. I really do enjoy track. I really did enjoy it when I ran, but it was a lot of pressure. I had a lot of anxiety, and
Yeah.
but I loved it all. When that gun went off, it all went away.
You
But
know what's funny is I played some team sports a little bit. I was never very good at anything, but I
yeah,
ran track one year, and track is a completely different sport because it's all on you.
yeah,
It's so you do get anxiety before the race. Like it's so different. Like when I played soccer, it was like, it
mhm,
didn't all fall on your shoulders, but when you're running track, it's almost like someone's chasing you.
yeah,
Did you
yeah.
feel that?
Definitely, man. The pressure, the pressure is real. Uh, I guess the closest thing that comes to it is bowling now. When you're down in the bowling and you're competing with your friends, it's like, yo, this is me in the lane and it's all on me. Am I going to get a gutter ball or am I going to get a strike? Or, you know,
I didn't feel that. I didn't expect you to say bowling,
yeah,
but that's cool. So where did you grow up at?
yeah. I grew up in Virginia Beach. I
Okay.
went there. I went to Florida. Then I went to Florida State University, where I competed. I ran all 4 years. Had the red shirt because of that injury, but came back and ended up finishing 10-time All American, 3-time national champion. Then I made that move back home.
Well, tell me about just coming up. Like when you were a kid, were you always just like the fastest kid on the playground or?
Yeah, you know, the funny story is I started running track when it was fifth grade field day. Everybody wanted to run and see who's the fastest kid on the block. Field day, you get an opportunity to run against everybody in the school. And my friend Andre, he was like, "Yo, I want you to run this race, and I want you to pretend like Aisha's down there." Now, Aisha was a girl I had a crush on in the second grade, and she ended up moving and I haven't seen her since. But he said, pretend like she's down at the finish line. I want you to run, give it all you got. So I ran, and the coaches, the PE teacher, they saw it, and they were like, they told the middle school, they were like, hey, this kid, he has some potential. And from then on, I realized, hey, track is something that I can actually be good at because I wasn't great at a lot of things in life. Only thing that I had going for me was singing and running. I felt when I was younger, and to be able to grab hold to something that you're gifted in, I took that and ran with it literally, and it brought me so many different places. And I think so many people are trying to discover what is that thing that they're good at still.
Yeah.
And that could be a tough thing. And before I go into all those things, I really think the bigger picture of trying to find out where do we fit in the grand scheme of life is really understanding our purpose. Because when we understand our purpose, everything that we do, it just begins to come into alignment to that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, I mean, and you can pretty much go through anything if there's a why behind it, that's
yeah,
the thing. But if there's no why, then it's, it's hard to bear. It's hard to bear any amount of discomfort if there's not a purpose behind it, or at least if you don't believe there's a purpose behind it.
yeah.
But go ahead.
I think a lot of athletes, we struggle with that, especially transitioning out of the sport.
Yeah.
Because when you're a runner or you're a competitive athlete, football, basketball, whatever the sport may be, you're trained to win. You're not trained to be second. You're trained to be the very best. And that is the complete opposite of what purpose really means. And I think a lot of people, they get caught up in that lifestyle of, I want to win. I want to have the most money in my bank account. I want to, have the title as the CEO, but all that really doesn't matter. I was having, I have this coaching program where I coach a lot of speakers, and some of those speakers that come into my program, they're athletes. And the thing that really hangs them up is like, hey, I got to be the best. I have to win at this. And if it's not the very best, then why do it? And that's so backwards to what we want to teach people to do. That it's true joy, true love, true fulfillment isn't found in winning, but it's found in choosing to put other people first and making yourself second. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the beauty in all of that is that you can still feel that ribbon grazing against your chest as you cross the finish line, even though you came second. And that's the beauty of finding purpose and realizing that we're not just called to win. That's the byproduct of doing things with excellence.
Mm-hmm.
We're called to serve people. And when I really tapped into that, I never forget that day. I was I moved back at home with my mom. I was dealing with that devastating injury. I had my self-esteem was at an all-time low. I was 15 pounds on the needed weight. And I got a call from my alma mater, and they asked me to speak at their school. While I'm trying to figure out my life, all this is going on. And I got on that stage and I gave my story. I gave them a little hope, what I felt to be a little motivational. I wasn't a good speaker then, but I got on and I shared my message. And at the end of it, this teenage girl, she came up to me and she says, "Look, man, I don't want to take any photos with you. I don't want, any autographs, but I need to let you know something. What you said on that stage, it changed my life because I felt like killing myself today. But you made me want to live my dream." And while at the edge of a high school auditorium, while I'm trying to get a gold medal and run for my country, she made me see that it is much bigger than me.
Yeah.
And while we don't have to chase something that to have significance, but we have to give something.
That's good, man. Yeah. I think for me, when I really started to figure out my purpose was, so I was, I was a Christian. I was backslidden and kind of made a mess of things. And I rededicated my life to God. And I was doing a lot of volunteering through my church.
Yeah.
And I was liking the way it made me feel, because up until then I lived pretty selfishly. And, for me, that was what actually led me to figuring out, because when I was backslidden, I was promoting clubs, and I was doing it because I enjoyed it. I was good at it and I made money, and, there came with benefits, girls and all that.
Yeah.
But like when I started really trying to add value to other people's lives, I was trying to cure Christian boredom, because I had a lot of friends in church that were bored. So I started promoting events. I wasn't making any money for it, but it led me to starting my nonprofit and then writing a book and all these other amazing things. But it's funny how when you shift your eyes off yourself and put it on other people, that it leads you to your purpose. It's almost like you can't even find it if you're not
giving.
If you're looking at yourself, it's like you won't find it.
Yeah.
You find that's true?
Yeah, that's the quickest way to burn out.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, they experience burnout because they feel like I have to prove something. That's where the burnout comes from. Oh, I'm not the best. I have to, you know, and then it doesn't happen. So the burnout comes because I'm not the best at it. Or, you know, it's just that mindset that they have that's so backwards. But I get it. As an athlete, that's what we're trained to do.
Yeah.
But what makes it enjoyable is doing it for something bigger than you. When you focus your energy on doing something bigger than you, making it fulfill you, make it impact lives, make it worth sharing, that's when, like, you know, you living in your design.
Yeah.
And you find that greater reason beyond winning, beyond the gold medal, beyond, you know, wearing those cool rings. But I think that's the beauty of competing. You can self-compete though, you know. There's nothing wrong with self-competition. You know, I want to be the best that I can be. But when we're focused on, like, I just, you know, ego inflated, you know, truth of, all right, I need to be the very best in the world to see that I have purpose, that we got it all wrong.
Right. How old were you when you got the injury?
How old was I? I was 22.
So you were.
I was 20. No, I was 20. I was 21 when I got the injury.
Okay. And how long? So basically, you're a junior or senior in college, something like that, right?
Yeah.
You have the injury. You realize you're not going to be, you know, going to the Olympics or whatever else. So how long did it take you to go from that period when you kind of, I'm sure you had to hit a rock bottom, and then to starting your foundation and really making that switch? And what was that like?
Yeah. So the change happened. I sat out after I had that injury. I had the red shirt to really be on a long rehab program, about a year of rehabbing to get the leg back to just being able to run at the speed that I could, you know, run in within practice. But I really kept feeling a lot of, you know, scar tissue just break up, and mentally it was just exhausting.
Yeah, you were afraid to push it, snap again.
Yeah. I really had to overcome that fear, and I end up breaking a record at the school in 300 after that injury, and I ended up competing a little longer when I went back home and trained there. But during all of that, I was trying to find my way, and one of the things I said when I graduated from high school, I said I need to start a nonprofit. Because I don't want kids to go through what I experienced. Because, like I said to you before, I wasn't a good reader or writer growing up, and I struggled to just make it to be average academically. And so I said, hey, I don't want kids to experience this. I need to show them a way. Because when I got into college, I realized that I'm a pretty smart guy. I just needed to learn a different way. And I was making the dean's list and ACC honor roll. And I needed to teach these kids this mindset that I developed, and just like the things that I've learned throughout the year and being an athlete, a student athlete. And so I started to do mentoring. I started to put on special events. We actually put on one of the largest events in Virginia, largest inspirational events in Virginia, where we had over I think over 800 students in attendance. And so, yeah, that was a journey, man. And it was so much fun. And that's when I realized I had a gift of speaking.
So how long did it take you to get what you were, how old were you when you started the nonprofit?
Yeah. So I was 23, I believe.
So there was a good year or two in there where you were just, were you like, I mean, it had to be tough because this is something that you held on to for what, since you were in grade school. I
Yeah,
mean,
since I first got my pair of Nike waffle spikes in the sixth grade. My mom gave me those pair, and I remember my coach. He said I was actually supposed to be at practice, but I was playing intramural basketball, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna embarrass you. You're supposed to be here at practice." And I was like, "Oh man," And then he was like, he grabbed me and he said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "I want to be one of the fastest men in the world. I want to run for my country." And it's funny how we want to do something, but the way we're acting is in alignment to what we want to accomplish sometimes. So he was like, "You got to start showing up to practice." He said, "Get your butt over there and get up and go out there with a team." And he saw me run because he heard about me in elementary school. And he was like, "Yeah, this kid got something." And I kept losing. I kept losing at competitions from sixth to the seventh grade. I was losing. I didn't win. And my eighth grade year, I didn't lose a race. I raced against Percy Harvins, and I was the fastest kid in the city. And so, yeah, I had a lot that I dedicated to. I would get full body cramps just to show up for my team and to give my best. And so, literally, when I say I felt like track was the only thing that I was gifted in, I gave my whole heart to that.
yeah. I mean, so did you just flip the switch, when the injury happened and you just said, okay, I'm going in a different direction? Or was it like, you're sleeping till noon every day, depressed?
Oh man, bro, I would stare at walls, stare at blank walls, trying to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do next. What kept me sane, I believe, was me singing. I love singing, so I started a company singing where we did songwriting, and it was just a cool little form of rehab for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that, along with you know just seeking God, man, is what really gave me clarity. I remember I would literally have panic attacks. I didn't even know it was a panic attack. So foreign to me. I was in church and I remember the pastor's wife. She was getting ready. She was the first time seeing me from high school, since high school, and I knew she was getting ready to ask me, "Hey, what are you doing with your life?" And I was literally felt like I was about to have a heart attack and pass out. And I didn't know it until like a couple of like a year later. Hey, this is a panic attack that I'm having, anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And through all of that, I started getting on that stage and started sharing just the story of just hope for people. But only when I started getting real with my message, that's when things really started to change for me. I was living at home with my mom, and the moment I started to open up about my pain, my struggle, my adversity,
Mm.
that's when people started to say, "Hey, I can identify with that. I'm going through that.
Yeah.
Show me the way." People don't want the fabricated version of you, the version that's so perfectly polished.
Right.
I can't identify with that.
Yeah.
And so I just started to be real. I started to tell people, yeah, I experienced depression. I thought I was, you're going to date this girl and, be together with her. Luckily, we didn't get married. I married the girl of my dreams. I experienced those things. I experienced, being 15 pounds underweight and moving back at home, my mom and
Underweight, you said?
underweight.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you try to compete
Yeah.
and, under that weight, it's like, no way in the world. I would literally like I was throwing up the food that I would eat. That's how bad, that's how sick I was.
Yeah.
And so life now, man, I think I can experience hell and it won't break me.
Mm.
It won't break me because I know if I can make it through all of that and still and be better off today, there's so much hope that we can rely on.
Yeah.
And And so, people are losing their jobs during this season. People we're experiencing something that we never experienced in our lifetime. But you know what I say? I say, hey, if we're breathing, if we can control what we can control, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. Even if you're dead broke, you ain't gonna die from it. You're gonna be all right. And so, those of you guys who are listening today, just understand, like, whatever you're going through, you're gonna be all right. If you just believe, like, the hope is coming, and you just create a solid foundation, because that foundation is key. If you don't have a foundation, when the wind blows, you're gonna cave in. So
What would you suggest for people how to do that?
ask yourself what is really important. Ask yourself, what do I need to stay true to, right? What is something that will never change, that if I held on to this integrity, then it will make me a better man or a better woman.
So basically your values.
Yeah. Your
Your values.
foundation is your value.
Yeah.
It's what you put in is what you get out. And if you don't have a foundation for that, never gonna work out.
So what about the techniques though? Like, so you said you developed techniques that brought you clarity on your purpose. I'm curious to hear about those, because I have my own kind of process for how I was able to figure out, like a vision for my life and
Yeah.
really kind of flesh it out and stick to it. But I'm curious to hear yours.
Yeah. I created an entire process for really vision creating and turning your vision into attainable goals. We'd be all day if I tried to give you all of it, but
Is that part of the planner?
It's incorporated in the planner, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But before you can get to that place of executing, you truly need to have a vision. What the Bible says: without vision, people perish. Right.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, earlier when you were talking.
Yeah. So
Athletes, when they get out of the sport, I think that's what hangs them up a lot of times, is their vision now, they don't have one. Their vision was playing sports. And I heard from a friend of mine the other day, he's a pastor, and he just got the job in Baltimore to be like the something for the Ravens for when the athletes are transitioning out, because a lot of them aren't doing well when they come out of the NFL. Like Jamal Lewis, I just heard, is driving a truck. He was like the pretty famous running back for the Ravens, made millions of dollars, but didn't manage his money well or whatever, and now he's doing that. And a lot of people fall into depression, professional athletes. So yeah, that vision piece is super important.
But even before that vision, it's the foundation you need. If you look down, like, internally, what are you standing on, right? Like, what are you allowing to hold you up? Is it the title? Is it the bank account? Is it the validation? Is it strip clubs and is it McDonald's and Chick-fil-A sandwiches? What is the foundation that's holding you up? Because that will be the foundation that breaks you too, or makes you, right? So I really believe we need to operate in the state of having our values before we go chasing things, of knowing who we are truly before we can pursue things. I remember a reporter had asked me, he said, "Charles, how did you get to the success that you had? How did you become one of the fastest men in the world?" And I would tell him, it was my habits. And I'm looking at it all now as I had it all wrong. What we truly need, because we can make success, we can have that, but what's going to hold you is the foundation of who you are. Like, what does that look like? And when I do my retreats, I really talk about these different aspects of faith, values, true purpose, and how these elements create who you are and your goals and how you pursue things. But when we talk about creating a vision, one of the first places I believe we should begin is clarify. And clarifying is simply identifying the type of vision that you have. That, I think a lot of people, we get overwhelmed by, all right, I don't know where to begin, but I think we got to take it little step by step by step, right? And so the clarify piece is really like identifying, is this a career goal? Is this a financial goal? Is this a mind, body, or spiritual, vision that I have for my life? Or is this a relationship, a community, entrepreneurial? Like what type of vision do you have? Once you identify that, you move on to the next step. And the next step is really about clarify. And this is where I get people to just sketch out the vision, writing it out, or whatever comes to you. If it's a logo, whatever it is that comes to your mind, you literally, I'll give you 5 minutes to write it out. And they begin to work on it and craft that message, and to just have that free space to just wonder. And I tell people, don't discount what you've been given, that crazy vision, don't discount it. Just write it all out, because what the mind conceives, it has the power to achieve it.
Yeah.
So, they go through that stage. And one of the parts that I really love about doing all of that is then moving towards the rectify. I have a couple of steps towards this one, but the big thing that you need to do in this piece, and what rectify means, is just create a straight line, right? Connect your future to where you are right now. And the first place to begin that is to just make a simple vision statement, right? Make the vision plain. It's not that complex, right? So, you say you want to write a book, get very specific with that. I want to write 5,000 words on a book on love and relationship and how to break through and have success in your life. I don't know, something like that, right? Make it very simple. Yeah. And then now you have the elements of how you should be pursuing things. Some of the things that will come to your mind then is, all right, what are the pieces that I need? Who can help me, right? What do I need to focus on? What can I defer? What can I delay? What can I delegate? You start to think about all of those little things, and that's the process. That's a part of the process of vision creating.
Yeah, it's good. It's the second time I heard that verse today about write the vision and make it plain.
Yeah.
I was working out with a friend of mine earlier, and he said that same verse. I don't know. There's something there for me.
Bro, like it's the truest thing. Sometimes we don't even do those little things.
Yeah.
And we want marriage, or we want a relationship. We want financial freedom. But what is that vision? Like, have you even took the baby step to do that part? Because if you don't know that, how are you going to know when you arrive to it, or know when something is in alignment to your desire?
Yeah.
You're never going to know it.
I actually do. I have a coaching course myself, and I take people through a series of exercises. And one of them is one of Darren Hardy's I learned, which is called the Grand Design, where you basically have the 8 priority areas of your life, and you write out 3 goals, 3 to 5 goals in each of the 8 areas. And then you end up narrowing it down to 10, and then you narrow it down to 3. And those are your 3 goals, your vital 3 for the year. And, it's amazing what you can do once you really figure out what are those 3. Because you say something like write a book, and a lot of people, think about writing books. But once you chunk it down, because you break it down, like you said, what can I delegate? What can I defer? What was the third D?
Delegate, defer,
delay.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah. So basically, yeah, once you chunk it out, you'd be surprised at what you can get done, because it seems a little daunting when you look at the thing, but then when you break it down into like smaller goals, you really can get a lot. Like, you can get some big things done, things that you would have never thought you were capable of before.
Yeah, it's try to make it as small as you can. And I'm not talking about your vision. Don't make your vision small.
Yeah.
Don't compromise the vision. But after you get to that vision, that visionary place, then it's like just saying to yourself, all right, 30 days, what can I do?
Yep.
What do I need to do? And then tomorrow, what do I need to do? So you move from micro goals to simple 5 tasks. And that's what, like in the Thrive Planner, my product, I teach people that very basic way to create action towards your vision. And what they do in a planner is simply, all right, what are my major 5 goals for the week? And then on a daily basis, you go through your actionable tasks. What are the task focused activity that I need to do? And just 5 things. If you did 5 things every single day that were driven towards achieving your goal, you'd be much closer to it than just thinking about it and being in that overwhelm and overthinking mode.
Yeah, that's good. No, when I read the title, it reminded me of a book that I read not long ago called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And he talks about
Yeah.
what is the one thing that I can do that would make everything else easier or obsolete.
Yeah.
And if you just can identify that one thing, you know, like, well, what can I do today? You know, and then you just kind of chip away at it. It's like in no time you look back and you're like, you can't even believe how far you came, you know?
Right. Yeah. I do the method ready, set, go. And since it's so related to track, right? The ready means just simply there's an opportunity coming, right? Just get ready for it. It doesn't mean like get your stuff and get in order. It just means there's an opportunity in front of you. So what are you going to do? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you respond, yes, I'm going to do something about it. Right. And then it's getting in that set position.
Mm-hmm.
That set position is what is that one thing that I can do right now in order to get closer to that. Right. And then once you have that one thing in your mind, when, as you know, like with runners, when that gunman is saying ready, set, and that gun goes off, it's not in a five-day span. It's not in 5 minutes, but it's literally about 10 seconds or less where that gunman is giving you those commands. And in that same way, we got to learn to respond with diligence. Diligence is a method of excellence, right? And when we respond with diligence, that trigger of that gunpowder, you know, and all those things, those mechanics of working together, it creates massive momentum towards what you want to pursue. But when you start to wait on it, when you start to not operate on that thing that's making your heart pump and giving you life and makes you nervous just thinking about it, when you delay that, the move is slow. The momentum, you don't gain the traction that you need to pursue such a big goal. So ready, set, go is a simple way to get it going. So whenever, you know, your tribe here is at that place where you know what you want to accomplish, now it's just saying ready, opportunity, set was the one thing I need to do. Go do it right now. Don't wait. Like even if you listen to this podcast right now, go right now, you know? So that's the thing that I use to get out of being stuck in perfection too, and just overthinking. All right, well, I need to have this in place. No, ready, set, go.
Yeah, the word says if you wait for perfect circumstances, you'll never get anything done. I don't remember the verse, but it basically says that if you're waiting for perfect conditions, they'll never come. But so what I tell people is, identifying that one thing. What is the one thing that I can do that would make everything else easier or obsolete? And then I block off an hour and a half in my schedule, call it a jam session, where I just put my phone. I try to do it in the morning because, you know, like I'll put my phone on airplane mode because I don't want to even hear it. And I basically, what I do is for 90 minutes, I just try to work on it uninterrupted because I can sprint for 90 minutes. Like, I mean, knowing like most people don't sprint. What we do is we kind of do a little, and then we're like checking our email and we're checking our Facebook notifications. Like literally you just turn everything off for 90 minutes. You just work on that only. And then something I learned from a guy named Brian Tracy, he calls it eat the frog, which is basically what you're saying, where if do the thing that you're most likely to procrastinate on first, because he's like, if you have to eat a frog, he says every day, he's like, there's no point in sitting around looking at it. Just eat the damn thing. You know what I mean? And he says, if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. So, but it's basically like you said, where just don't procrastinate, do it first. And that's how you really get that momentum that you're talking about, is like every day you do that one hard thing, get it out of the way. Boom. You know?
Yeah. One thing I would challenge you to test out is try 60 minutes.
60.
Now, the reason I say 60 minutes is because one of the things that happens when we sit for a long period of time is that the electrical activity in our legs shut off, and then back problems happen over time, and other high blood pressure and those things. So when we shorten that window up to a maximum of 60 minutes, we're able to actually increase our creativity by just going on a simple walk and then getting back to it. 60%, I can use that 60% versus sitting down. And then just on just an optimal level of just health. All right, like when at the age of 30, our muscles, they literally can deteriorate at a rapid rate of 8% per decade. And so we need to make sure we're moving, we're getting up out of our chairs so that we can keep our performance going, year in and year out. So like I just test out like that chunking of trying a 60-minute window, or, just taking a short break in between that 60-minute, like maybe 2-minute break, or just to stretch out and get back into it. It'll really amp up your creativity and productivity.
Yeah, man, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the thing though, is just getting that uninterrupted, time, especially if it requires something of some deep thought. Like if you're doing something creative, that requires you to like really problem solve. For me, I like to get it out of the way early in the morning, and not have any interruptions around me, or else you just can't move the needle forward. But that's good, man. So tell me about the podcast. What is the podcast about?
So Thrive Tribe podcast, really my vision for that podcast is to share unfiltered stories of everyday people who crush failure and discover their inner champion. But also this past season, I wanted to just give the tribe just me and just steps that they can achieve their goals and how they can pursue those things with excellence, with the right mindset, and just something that you can listen to really quickly in the car. It's about 2 to 3 minute episodes where you're getting that golden nugget, and you can apply that in your life. So it's a Thrive Tribe.
Oh, real short. Okay. Just 2 or 3 minutes. That's cool. Do you bring guests on or no?
Yeah. So this season we haven't brought on any guests yet. So we're looking into the third season now. Or what truly do we want to see? What do our audience want to see? And how can we best serve that? So we're really going with shorter episodes that they can get that sound bite, because one of the things that I want my tribe to do is be executors, right? I don't want you to listen to a whole bunch of information. I just want you to execute.
Yeah.
And so I want to honor that model of what I believe creates that thriving life. And, so yeah, that's the vision that we have for the podcast, and just trying to figure out ways in which we can best serve them.
Tell me the premise of the book.
So the premise of the book, I'm actually changing the title.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's all good. The premise of the book is really how we can move from surviving to thriving. Those who have experienced some type of failure or setback, and they want to get back to the life that they had, or even better.
Nice. I like it. When's it coming out?
So we are in the final stages of revision. So I really want to get this thing out by 2021.
Awesome.
Yeah, beginning of the 2021.
I think most people buy books between something like November and February is what I was told. So if you can hit that might be good for you.
New Year's resolutions and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Christmas presents, all that.
Yeah.
Well, let everybody know how they can find you. How can they connect with you?
Oh man, I would love for your tribe to connect with me on Instagram. The Charles Clark. I have for Instagram, and hey, if you want to come out to any of my retreats that I put on, visit thecharlesclark.com and access some of those events that we're putting on. We have events for speakers or anyone who wants to become a speaker, a better communicator. We have retreats on fear, how you can escape fear and live in your power.
Now, what are you doing with COVID? Are you still having the live events?
So we're doing virtual.
Oh, virtual. Okay.
Yeah, we've done some virtual events, and now we're going to be waiting, for the fall time I really want to get to the live. Nothing like doing it live and in person. So we have a few Thrive experiences that we put on, and these are like themed events, and what we're really going to be doing this year is the theme of excellence. How we can show with excellence to thrive.
That's good.
Yeah.
What's
And,
what's your morning routine like now? If you don't mind me asking, do you follow pretty regimented routine?
Yeah. So I believe in the amplify effect, and it's a concept in where the first 60 minutes of our day and the last 60 minutes of our day is what amplifies in our life, right? So how we choose to spend that time is so important. It's not just about what you do on the job, but it's what you do for yourself. So I spend my morning routine working on me, and my night routine preparing myself for the next day. But my morning routine, it consists of me getting up at the first alarm. It consists of me reading my devotion. The thing I've been really tasked with is to do things with excellence, right? So I used to read my devotion in the bed, turned over to the side, and barely falling asleep trying to read it. But I was saying to myself that I don't want to move until God gives me something that I can work on, right? And so my posture has to change with that. So I get up, and either I'm sitting up at the edge of the bed, or I'm going to the couch to read my devotional time, brush my teeth, and then I read for 20 minutes of a personal development book of my choice. And then I do my affirmations. So I call them will statements, and your tribe can actually access some of those things. The will statements are absolutely free. If you go to theCharlesClark/will-statements.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, and it's on there, or it's willstatements.com, one of them. Will statements. But I use those will statements to really get myself to get in a form of attention narrowing, where I'm just allow myself to think about one thought and executing on those things, or what is the vision so some of the things that I might say, that I will be bold and intentional. I will be loving and supportive to my wife. I will smile today and say hello. So I really want to focus my attention on what's going to give me clarity, what's going to bring abundance in my life. So I do that, and then I have my personal oath I recite to myself. And yeah, that's what I do. And that takes me about 45 minutes to get it all done. So I'm like nailing it out. But with the devotion time that I've been trying to incorporate now, I've been extending out to 60 minutes. So I don't want to go past that 60-minute window. Remember what I said? So it's that really helps me just get in a state where I can pour into others.
No, I love it. Yeah, I talk about where, if it wasn't for my morning routine, I think there was definitely some rough patches I went through. I don't think I would have made it, because the routine was what carried me through it. Where I was like, I was working real hard on the vision, chasing it, hitting obstacles, and sometimes just struggling to get going. And I'd sit there on the edge of my bed, do my quiet time, read my devotionals, I'd visualize, I'd write gratitude. And by the time I got done, I felt pretty good, and I was able to make it to work, listen to my vision statement on the way. I recorded it into my phone, listen to my affirmations on the way to work. It's also recorded in my phone. By the time I get my workout done, which I do first thing in the morning, man, I'm like ready to slay a lion,
right?
And I'm like, good, and then drag myself to bed at night, emotionally exhausted, do it again. And if it wasn't for the routine though, man, I don't think I could have made it.
I give a big part of my life to that as well. Oh man, I know we're getting ready to end this call, but when I used to wake up in the morning when I was living back at home, I couldn't stand to look at myself in the mirror. And I remember one morning I said, I'm fed up with this crap. And I wrote down on a sheet of paper all those things I was saying about myself. And then on the other side, I said to myself, oh, I need to start speaking life to myself, because God gives us words, and he doesn't just give us words so that it can express things. But when you talk about what he said in Genesis, that God created the world, right? And one of the things that's so cool, he said, let there be light, and it happened. He didn't have to work on it. He didn't have to touch anything. He said, let there be light. Boom, mic drop. And so some people might be waiting for hope to come. That's what I was saying. I was like, I just want hope, God. Like, just give me hope. But then I realized that he gave me words to give hope. Right? And so, sorry about that.
No worries.
So he gave me words to give hope. He gave me words to manifest my life. He gave me those things. So, like, guys, you don't have to wait for love to come to you. You can create it with your words.
Yeah.
Your thoughts control your actions. Your actions create those habits, and your habits create that lifestyle.
Man, that was it right there. That was a nugget. Hope y'all remember that. I'm going to write that down. Say that one more time for me.
Yeah, your thoughts.
Yeah.
They create actions. Your actions create habits, and your habits create lifestyle.
Yeah, it's good. I'll always say, thought leads to an action leads to a habit leads to a destiny.
Yeah.
Which is why it's like, yeah, it all starts up in your thoughts, man. You know, that's why you got to the word says, take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. You really got to guard that.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
It's good.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Is there any other places that we missed that people can connect with you? We mentioned Instagram and your website. Was there anywhere else?
If you guys need a 90-day planner, you can always get the Thrive Planner. It's a tool to help you move one big goal towards the finish line. And it's thethriveplanner.com.
Yeah, definitely. When the book comes out, let me know, and I'll post it for you and let everybody know.
I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
City fam.